Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Sorry for this one coming out way later than it needed to be. I have been kind of in a weird spot with my schedule the last couple of days. I've been trying to get this one recorded for a while, but just couldn't find the time until now. Hopefully this is still helpful for you, even though this is technically the last day of the banners. We've got 3 cards to talk about between the new Produce SSR for Hiori, the Support SSR for Koito, as well as the Support SSR for Kiriko. Now keep in mind that all 3 of these cards are limited. Once the banner is over, these cards will be gone until they're on a paid-only ticket. So if you want these cards, now is realistically your only chance to get them. With that, let's get started with Hiori. Hiori is an all-types unit, but focuses in on Vocal. Her initial appeal is a Vocal 3.5 that follows up with a Dance Visual 1.8 appeal. This also raises your passive skill activation chance by 10% for 3 turns, and links into a Vocal Dance Visual AoE appeal. The upgraded version of the appeal is a Vocal 4.5 that follows up with a Dance Visual 2.3, raises your passive activation chance by 20% for 3 turns, and links into the same Vocal Dance Visual 1.0 to all judges. Her 1-star passive is a Vocal 60% up if it's turned to her earlier and has a 35% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal 120% up and Dance Visual 60% up if all of Illumine are in your skill history. This has a 30% chance to activate up to 3 times. Finally, her 4-star passive is a Vocal 130% up and Dance Visual 80% up if you are running the full Illumine lineup, and it has a 5% chance to activate 3 times. Her total stat uncapped is a plus 350 to Vocal and 150 to Dance and Visual. Her memory appeal when maxed out is a Vocal 2.0 that links into a Vocal Dance Visual 2.5. Hiori is fine, but I wouldn't say that she's necessarily an insane card. It's kind of a surprise to have to wait almost a year and a half for a new Produce SSR for Hiori, but Shiny scheduling has been kind of all over the place as of lately, so it's not too surprising, but it is a little unfortunate. She continues the new trend of Illumine raising passive chance, which is kinda neat, but of course pairs it up with relatively low passive activation chances, meaning that you kind of have to lean into the gimmick in order to make them fully usable. Vocal Illumine will more than likely use this Hiori because there's not really that many other options realistically. I wouldn't say that she's necessarily a must-have card, but she's pretty interesting for her own regard. Her memory appeal is unfortunately pretty forgettable unless for some reason Rainbow stats end up being really good in the new Produce mode that they have started talking about a little bit more, which we'll briefly hint on here at the end. Overall as a unit, I would say that she's somewhere between a B to a B+, and as a center, roughly a C. I wouldn't say, again, that she's super high power, but she is interesting enough to warrant play, whereas as a center, she's kind of just teetering on good enough. But not really. For our support, we have Koito, who is a Vocal card. Her masteries include Unit Mastery SP, which reaches plus 12 at level 75, otherwise plus 8 at level 65, and plus 4 at level 50. She has Vocal Mastery Vocal Limit Up, which reaches plus 5 at level 75, otherwise plus 4 at level 70, plus 2 at level 60. Then lastly, she has Vocal Mastery Stamina, reaching plus 7 at level 80, plus 5 at level 70, or plus 1 at level 55. If you're looking for a good count to have, I would say that 2-star Koito is about as good as you want to have her. It's the biggest boon for both her passives and for her mastery bonus. For the rest of what she does, her initial appeal is a Vocal 2.5 that raises your evasion by 10% for 3 turns. The 4-star version of the appeal is a Vocal 3.5 that raises your evasion by 10% for 4 turns, grants 1 mulligan, and has a change appeal effect if you are running all of Nocchill, which grants you an evasion 10% buff for 2 turns. For her passives, the only ones really worth talking about are her 2 and 4-star passives. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal 140% up if you have 3 or more active evasion up buffs and has a 40% chance to activate once. Her 4-star passive is a Vocal 100% up if you are in the leader position and has a 30% chance to activate twice. This card provides a plus 250 to Vocal Uncap. Koito's pretty okay. The 2-star passive can be debatably hard to activate if you don't fully commit to an evasion build, but it's feasible to some extent at least, again, if you are committed to stacking up as much evasion as possible. Luckily, her change appeal will at least give you 2 turns if you need something really quick for the next turn, or you end up using her appeal to give you the longer lasting buff, in addition to that extra mulligan. The mulligan itself, I think, also will be relatively useful for Nocchill because I believe they only have access to 1 by default, so having that additional 1 is also very nice. I would say overall she's anywhere between a B+ to an A- support for Vocal Nocchill. She'll probably see play here and there, but again, because of the relative power between like Twicolate supports and everything else, Koito may not make the cut, but is certainly worth considering if you are trying to stay true to a Nocchill-centric build. Lastly, we have our support SSR as part of the voting campaign, which is Kiriko. Now, unfortunately, there's not a real easy way to pull up her stats without having the card, so I'll go ahead and read off everything that she does. First things first, she is a vocal support. Her masteries include Vocal Mastery Vocal reaching plus 15 at level 75, plus 12 at level 65. She has Tension Mastery Vocal Limit Up reaching plus 4 at level 80, plus 3 at level 70, or plus 2 at level 60. She has Vocal Stay Mastery reaching plus 8 at level 80, plus 3 at level 70, and Vocal Mastery Stamina reaching plus 5 at level 80, plus 3 at level 65. Much like what we said with Koito, Kiriko settles really well at 2 stars. You do want the combination of Vocal Stay Mastery alongside Vocal Stamina Mastery, and the Tension Uncapped is going to help as well at level 70, being just a small plus 1% increase if you go all the way to 4 stars. Now, as for what she does, her initial appeal is a Vocal 2.5 that raises your Vocal by 20% for 4 turns and lowers your Attention by 50% for 3 turns. The 4-star version of the appeal is a Vocal 3.5 that raises your Vocal by 80% for 4 turns and lowers your Attention by 50% for 3 turns. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal 95% up and Memory Gauge 5% up if your team consists of exactly 1 unit. This has a 30% chance to activate twice. Her 4-star passive is a Vocal 150% up if you are in the center position and has a 30% chance to activate twice. She comes with a Vocal plus 250 uncapped total. Kiriko, honestly, is real solid. She's generic enough for both use in something like Vocal Antika, but also for Vocal Hokura, giving both units a small bump to potential usage, and that 5% memory gauge, if you stacked it up on everybody, could honestly come in clutch depending on the situation. While the appeals may not be as helpful for either team depending on what type of build you're using, the 2-star passive is already a really cool and relatively consistent inclusion, and the 150% vocal buff for your center is also very much appreciated. I would give this Kiriko anywhere from an A- to an A. Obviously a lot lower if you are trying to play her on anything that isn't those teams specifically. I would say she probably teeters way closer to like a C if you're trying to run her not on Antika or Hokura specifically. So do keep that in mind if you decide to pull here in the last couple of hours. So that will do it for the video today. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Next time we'll be talking about whatever banner comes next, which we kind of have a good idea of, actually. As of the time of this recording, we have seen that it is going to be a new card for Asahi. So let's look forward to what that Asahi does. Now, she is a permanent, which means she probably won't be super crazy good, but I know there are certainly a lot of Asahi P that would like to see a new card out of her. I'm looking forward to seeing what that card does as well. I'm also looking forward to, sometime in the future, talking about that upcoming produce mode. They gave us some more details today as well, including the fact that it's finally doing something I've been asking for a long time, which is making a mode where you can make genuine custom units that are meant to work with each other. So if you're somebody that's always had favorites that are across different units and have made it hard to use them in Gradefest, this mode is the answer to that theoretically, and I'm super looking forward to that. So, when all this drops, let's look forward to all of it together. Till then, I've been Sho, thank you for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.